We got Tyson here. Tyson Tracy. Mark, I'm super excited to see that game versus Texas A&M as a measuring stick of where Miami is versus top competition in Cristobal's first season. Absolutely. So in the 2020, the COVID season, what I thought there was that Miami upgraded. They upgraded from what we saw in Manny Diaz's first year at 6-7, but there were really what turned out to be 3 key games where Miami needed to show where they were versus a reasonable measuring stick. So the Clemson game was too much. The Clemson game was the 2020 version of the Alabama game of 21. It really, I said this all off season last year. All off season leading into 2021, I said, now, if Miami can hang with Alabama, and of course, if they beat Alabama, that's a whole other level. But if they can hang with Alabama, that's going to tell me something. I'm going to be able to evaluate that. But if they go out there and they're not competitive, then I'm going to tell you what I said the entire offseason leading into that game, and that's that I did not want Miami playing Alabama. I wanted Miami to play a like school. I wanted them to play a team that maybe was at their level or a little bit above to see what kind of progress they had made. I wanted to see them play Penn State. I wanted to see them, and it's funny right now, I don't know which ones of you were making fun of me during the offseason when I was saying Michigan was better than Miami. And you were, I had a number of people laughing at me because Michigan went 2-4 in all of a 6-game schedule. But I said over and over and over that Michigan was better than Miami. Anyway, the point being that there are measuring stick games, and the ones for that season was the Clemson game. All right, off their radar. Clemson was too good for Miami. But the North Carolina game, by all measurements, that should have been a challenging game and a competitive game between North Carolina and Miami for the division champion. Well, there was no division, of course, in play in the ACC in 2020. But then Miami did not pass that test. They got obliterated, and it surprised me. And then Oklahoma State being a like-level team, again, Miami did not pass the test 3 times against quality opponents in 2020. They did go on the road against North Carolina State, a pretty good team, and won that game when De'Ara King had a big night. Then in 2021, again, the Alabama game was not a good measuring stick, just out of Miami's class. Didn't perform well. Michigan State turned out to be a better measuring stick than we thought going in. That Michigan State turned out to be a much better team, a top 10 team in the nation. And so Miami had actually 2 good measuring stick games in the ACC, and they performed well. They beat Pitt, turned out to be the ACC champions. They beat North Carolina State, turned out to be possibly the second best team. I think Clemson was, but the second or third or fourth best team in the conference. So to your point, Tyson Tracy, yes, Texas A&M will be an interesting game. What do I expect from Miami next year? I expect Miami to be the Coastal Division champions. I would anticipate that North Carolina is going to be a challenge. I don't know about these other teams coming back. Of course, Pitt's going to be much different. But Virginia Tech is not in a good place right now. Virginia losing its head coach, Bronco Mendenhall, one of the best out there, not in necessarily a good place, needing to get their footing again. It's not a good division. Georgia Tech and Duke are awful. Virginia Tech's headed in that direction. They need Brent Pry to turn them around. It's not a division that's full of talent or programs that are in a good place. North Carolina's the one. Pitt, we will see if they can duplicate what they did, if Pat Narduzzi actually has this program in the right trajectory, or if that was an aberration last year. Miami's the best team with the best talent in the Coastal Division. They've got the best roster in the division. Now they've got a coach who's won the Rose Bowl, won the Pac-12. He's coached and won big games. He's coached and lost some big games.